Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Corner Office Chats. I'm Alexis. With me is Maureen. We are your high performance coaches, and we are talking today about changing your life. Today's topic is it's time to change your life. We've been talking all month about this commitment to excellence and this commitment to a better version of yourself, a better future for yourself and your family. And what does that look like? And so we're going to talk a little bit more in depth as to what you need to do. You know, you've established now that you want to make changes in your life for the better. There's things that aren't working for you anymore. There's thoughts that aren't serving you anymore. So how do we really get started and really start moving forward quicker with making these changes that we want and that we know are so necessary for us right now? So, Maureen, do you want to start us off with where do we need to go to first?
Yeah, so what we've been talking about all week is the first couple of indications that, it's time to change your life is if you're sitting in confusion state where you don't know where it is that you want to go. So if you're sitting in like, I don't know what I need to be doing, I know this is not working, you're having that kind of feeling, then it's really about clarity, that you don't know exactly what it is. You're not clear on who your identity is. You're not clear on what direction you want to go. You probably haven't really in depth identified what that would look like for you. And that could be a practice of looking at who are the people around you that you admire, or what is it that people are doing that you're infatuated with? What is it that really gets you pumping and going, that shifts how you're feeling? Start exploring what those are. Also notice day to day what things it just doesn't move you. It just doesn't, get your heartbeat racing. It doesn't get you excited. Whatever those are, also start writing those down, what it is that you don't want. Because 9 out of 10 times we know exactly what we don't want, right? I know I don't want, certain things in my life, right? I don't want to be around negative people. I know that doesn't work for me. I know I don't want to be playing basketball. It's not my jam right now. Maybe later when I'm older, I highly doubt it, right? I know what it is that I want to be doing because I know all the things I don't want to be doing. I know I want to travel. I know I like leading people. I know I want to help people. I know I like strategy, visionary. I mean, I talk about it with Alexis all the time. These are things that I like to do. I don't like to get in all the details of stuff. I like to be on the strategy part and the visionary part and leading the teams. That's who I know I am and that I thrive in. So I'm setting up my ecosystem so it works that way because that's where I'll thrive. If I'm stuck doing all the things, then I know I'm just going to go downhill from there. I'll lose interest and I'll probably be frustrated. So that's the next thing, Alexis, is that the next thing that people feel from confusion when they do know what it is that they want to do, but now they're feeling frustrated. Why are they feeling frustrated? Is they're not doing the things. They're not incorporating time to make sure that they're doing things. I was talking to one of the clients and they were saying they were frustrated. There's things that they want to start doing, but they're not. I'm like, okay, so what is it that they're not doing? So look for yourself. If it's, the perfect example to use is your health and wellness, right? How many of you want to be doing, feeling a little bit better, exercising more, losing some weight, and you're feeling frustrated about it? Well, really what you're frustrated is that you probably already know what you need to do, but you're not doing it, or you don't hold yourself in integrity to it, right? This is like an easy one to always talk about. You'll beat yourself up on it that, oh, I didn't, I ate this when I should have eaten that, or I didn't go for that walk today, or I didn't show up for my workout today. I planned it, but I didn't do it. That's where frustration starts to come in because you know what it is that you want and you're not doing it. So those are the two indications, is the confusion part of it that you don't know, or you do know and you're not taking the steps. So Alexis, why don't you tell us what steps we can start taking to start getting past that confusion and frustration?
Yeah. And I can't get over how many times I've had a conversation with somebody who, they know things aren't working, or they're feeling that confusion or that frustration, that overwhelm, and they don't do anything about it, simply because they don't take the time to actually ask themselves, okay, I'm not happy. What is it in my life that's not working? Right? Mm-hmm. And we use these big general terms. I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed. Okay, what are you stressed about? What specifically? And this is like probably the most fundamental, easiest, simplest thing. But and people say it's common sense, but as we know, common sense is not always common practice. So actually sitting down with a good old journal, notebook, and saying, okay, where are my sources of frustration in my life now? Let me look at the back, even go the last 24 hours. What frustrated me, upset me, confused me? What just wasn't good? And is that something that's happening all the time? I talked about, I did this course a while back, and it was amazing. As you know, I'm a curriculum developer as well. So I always learn something when I'm developing a course, because I think about it, how is it relevant in my life? And it was like the silliest example, or the silliest thing, but when I made this shift, it was so, I can't even tell you how liberating it was. So my example is laundry, right? As a mom, you can't get away from it. It's always going to be there. And I actually don't mind laundry. What really frustrates me is turning every piece of laundry that my kids take on, they just like explode out of it. Everything's inside out, having to take all the pants the right way, all the shirts the right way, flipping this up. Like, it's so tedious. It's so time consuming, but like my OCD won't let me just fold things inside out. I just can't do it. So when I was actually creating this course, trying to help other moms find the areas in their life that were sources of stress, I was like, this is something that, as silly as it is, can shift my mood so quickly from good to bad, because I find it so irritating. So I'm like, okay, well, my kids are too young to either, do it themselves. So what can I do? How do I stop this, right? So as easy as it was, is I would go through the laundry, flip the things out, when I'm just in the room, or before I throw it in the washing machine, I take the extra second to flip out. And I started to not do that like emergency load of laundry where you're like, oh my God, I have no kids' clothes for the next day. Like, I would only go down to the washing machine when I knew I had a few minutes and I could start to sort and flip as I put in. Okay. I know you're probably thinking this is the most ridiculous example, but it eliminated so much stress from my life and frustration from my life, because then I was annoyed that I had to be, folding this, which would lead into an argument with my husband, or me to, shout at the kids, or just in general be grumpy. And it's like the littlest thing, but if I never identified that, this is a frustration that would happen over and over and over, every day, every week, every month, every year, for the rest of my life. Okay. So if I didn't do that, and I never realized how annoying it was for me to do that, this is just a very small example, but there are other things in our lives that frustrate us on a daily or multiple times a day, on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Have we ever looked at those things and said, okay, what do I find frustrating about it? Okay, I can't eliminate laundry altogether. So what can I do about it? Getting clarity on the actions that we can take to reduce the frustration, to gain more clarity if we are confused. So it starts with just identifying those key areas that either we're feeling a negative emotion, but we're not really sure why. Okay, we know why. Deep down, we know why. For whatever reason, we're choosing to not go there. I'm going to ask you to go there. Okay, why every time this situation happens, I feel this way? Let's explore. Okay, sometimes it's down to just our past experiences, beliefs that we've held on for so long because they served us when we were 14, but now as a 40-year-old woman, they're not serving me anymore. Okay, I'm not 40 yet. I can't believe I just said that on the live.
That's not to me.
almost. I have one more trip around. But first identify what are those areas that are always coming up, and what action can you take immediately to at least alleviate some of the stress, some of the frustration, some of the negative feelings around it. Once you know what that is, okay, how can you now put that into place? what strategy can you lay out for yourself to make sure that you're doing this on a regular basis, right? Once we see the results, once we are like, wow, that little laundry wasn't quite as stressful and it was super quick, I never even thought about it. Yeah. That's an intrinsic reward that's going to make me want to continue doing it. But I'm never going to get that reward if I don't do it the first time, right? So what action can you do immediately to start to even just alleviate some of that frustration or some of that negative feeling?
I like music.
What's that?
Music.
Yeah. If you are somebody who is, really, you can shift your mood with music. It could be as simple as putting on a good song when you've got to make dinner, right? All the moms out there, I'm sure you've said this before. I don't mind cooking, but why do I have to make dinner every single day? Like, why do I have to do it every single day? Make that activity more enjoyable. Maybe you get your kids to help. Maybe they're not at that stage where they're much help just yet, and that's just adding to the frustration. But maybe it's as simple as putting on an amazing, podcast or a great song, and you're listening to music while you're doing the thing that you don't really love doing every single day. Mm-hmm. Okay? Maybe there are bigger shifts in your life that you have to make because you absolutely hate your job. Like, you dread going in. I remember my husband, when he first moved here, he's from Ireland, he got a job at the beer store, right? He just needed something. And he is a hands-on kind of guy. He's been in construction. He used to be a tour guide and drive big tour buses, and he loved that. He loves hands-on stuff. Customer service, not his bag. But, he got the job, and we're like, just something to get you started, right? And I remember he said to me, and I said, every day, how's it going? He's like, not great, not great. And then one day he said to me, was actually walking down the street and hoping that a car would, he said this jokingly, if you understand, he's got a little bit of a weird sense of humor, but he's like, I was just thinking, if that car flew off the road and hit me, I wouldn't have to go to work today. And we laughed, but I also felt I said, okay, you're quitting tomorrow. Like, nobody should feel that way. But here's the sad part. So many people are feeling that way and continue to go to work in a job that they hate, in a toxic environment, every single day without making a change.
Alexis, okay? I was in a job where I sat in my car trying to hype myself up to go in. I was literally in a job for a while, and it was a very short time because I was not working. I was getting anxiety. I was frustrated, and I did not even want to walk into the door. Like, literally, I would sit in my car and tears would be running down my face. Like, I hate this place.
That breaks my heart. And the thing is you're not alone. My husband's not alone. There's so many people that hate it. So, I'm not saying everyone needs to quit their job, but you can take action. What is within your control in the current job that you could change, if possible, to make it better, right? Maybe that's a person that you sit with lunch every day. You can't handle their negativity all the time. Switch, go out for lunch, or switch who you eat lunch with, or, work through your lunch so that you don't have to, expose yourself to that on a daily basis. If it's your boss, is there a conversation you could have? If you exhaust all the possibilities of what's in your control to change that situation, and you still come up, you're like, no, I still hate this job. I still hope I get hit by that car so I don't have to go in. Then you really need to make a change, right? And that might mean looking for another job. And there's and again, I'm not saying just quit and then, start looking. You can start looking for another job while you're in your current terrible job until the opportunity comes. But knowing you have like a D-Day, when you're like, okay, there is a plan here for me to get out. I'm not going to be, doing this till I'm 65, until I'm retiring. Like, I have a plan in place. You're naturally going to feel better going in every single day. Okay, so get clarity on the actions that you can take, whatever is in your control, and put that plan in place, whatever that looks like. And again, I'm talking everything from small things like laundry frustrations, all the way up to making a huge career change, possibly getting out of a terrible relationship, completely overhauling your health. I don't know what it is for you, but you do, right? Because you're either tuning in now or you're watching this, and something about the title, it's time to change your life. You're like, yeah, girl, it is time. So what is it for you?
I was going to say, and stop blaming. Stop blaming yourself. Stop blaming other people. Blaming is also another, thing where if you're frustrated, you start to blame people. You start to get angry. There's resentment. There's guilt, right? All of those things will be symptoms of what you're feeling. And that's your clue that something needs to change. It's time.
Yeah. And the thing is, when we blame others, it's because either we don't want to take action or we don't know what actions we need to take. So let's shift the blame to somebody else, because then it's out of my control. It's something that he said, she said, they did. It's not me, because that means that I have something to do now. Right? So whenever you are thinking, if you catch yourself being like, oh, it's all his fault, right? Just ask, what if part of it was my fault? Or what responsibility do I have in this? And what control do I have to change it?
Yeah, I mean, Alexis, like, even there's parts in my life where it's not working for me, and I'll sit there and I'll blame my husband or blame the kids. They're not getting this done, and not really taking action around it. It's so much easier to just blame people, right? Or if like I told him that he needed to get that, but what am I doing to empower him? What am I doing to empower myself? Well, maybe he didn't even know it was important. It's really taking responsibility. We cannot change other people. We cannot change our environment until we change ourselves. So that's what we're talking about when it's time to change your life. It starts with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard, right? Like, none of this stuff is easy. Personal development. I mean, I've heard every kind of negative comment about, oh, it's, it's woo woo, it's this, it's just positive thinking. No, it's not. It's a lot of hard work, but those are the people that are happy, and they're happier consistently for longer. Those are the people that feel fulfilled, because they're starting from the inside before pointing everywhere else, right? Yeah. It starts here. Awesome. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, and when we talk about making these life changes, and that the health journey is one of those things, like you said, it's a really easy example to use, but people tend to think that to make a change, you have to have this massive breakthrough, these earth-shattering changes, but that's not where transformation lies. Right? Transformation lies in what we call micro habits that are taken consistently. Little things that you do every single day, every single week, and you continue to do them, and they stack up like compound interest, right? If anybody has one of those accounts where they what is it called? They throw the extra little couple cents or maybe dollar into a savings
interest. Yeah.
Yeah. Every time you use your debit card. It's amazing.
Acorn.
Every single time I have that, where every time I use my debit card, it's like if I spend $4.50, it throws 50 cents.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's always less than $1. Yeah. It's amazing how that adds up. In a couple of months, I'm like, oh, why? How is there that much money in that account? How did that jump from there? Right? It's little things taken consistently on a daily basis that add up to these huge changes and these big transformations. So identify what micro habits you can start. Especially when it comes to diets, like there's the keto, there's the like paleo, there's all these things, but they're like radical changes. You go from eating fast food, processed foods, convenience foods all the time for, 30, 40 years of your life. And you expect in 1 week, you're just going to stop eating meat or stop eating dairy or stop doing all the things you love to do. Trust me, it's not going to last you unless you have like the willpower of like a bull. Like, most of us it's not going to be sustainable, right? But if you start making small habits, small changes, right? I started just in the last, me and water is like a love-hate relationship. It's the thing that I know will probably help me the most. I get these crazy headaches, which I know are probably from dehydration, but the idea of like always refilling, and I bought the big water bottle, everything, it just doesn't work. This is an ongoing struggle in my life.
So it's what you're saying about it, that it doesn't work, right? But really it's just empowering yourself. It's making a minor change in it.
Yeah. And it's never top of mind for me to like, so I just drank this now because I'm having this conversation, I'll go refill it again. But I only went and got it because I was so thirsty. I literally when you're talking, you're like, your lips get stuck up. I'm like, I'm so dehydrated. I actually need
You really just made that face.
I totally did. Oh God, this is getting recorded. Man, I'm on fire today. But what I started to do was, last week I had a coaching call, and this always comes up. And I committed to having 1 glass of water before I do anything else, before I have coffee, before I have breakfast. I committed to my coach to have 1 glass of water every single day, right? And I've been pretty good at it. I think I missed 1 day, but but it's made me now feel thirsty, right? So now it's like a trigger that makes me go in and get another glass. Whereas before I just was like used to the dehydration feeling. But that's a micro habit, okay? It's not a life-changing thing to have 1 glass of water first thing in the morning, right? And I realized that I'm way too distracted, so I had to put the cup in my bathroom. So before I even go to the kitchen, I'll forget in the walk down the hallway. I have it when I brush my teeth, and then I sit there and I drink 1 glass of water, okay? That's a micro habit. That's something so small that I'm trying to build into just being not even thinking about it. I grab my glass of water first thing in the morning and away I go, right? And then it sets the rest of the day in motion. So these little micro habits, whether they're physical things that you're doing or they're mindset shifts. So, you know, maybe the micro habit might be, maybe you're a very reactive person and you tend to react before you think, and it gets you in trouble, okay? Maybe it is when it comes to text messages. So maybe your micro habit is that every time you get a text message from somebody, you know, you, I don't know, you count to 20 before you respond, let's just say, okay? Or if it's a particular person, right? Like you tend to get really reactive with somebody. This will allow you to read the text. You have to count to 10, read it again, right? And in that time, you then think about your response, as opposed to that like immediate boom, boom, you write something back, and then it's, you know, starts off a negative conversation, okay? I don't know. Do you have any other ideas of micro habits? But they're all over, really.
Yeah, I mean, so it could be during your lunch break. Like for those of you who are wanting to build a business or working on a side hustle, or if it's something you want to get connected with people more or build on your relationship, and you know you always take lunch break at this time, right? You could incorporate it during that time, that while I'm having my lunch break, I have a conversation with my friends, or I work 30 minutes on my business, or I make that phone call that I need to do that. So you have it consistently during a habit that you already have in place, and you have it incorporated then. It's really important, like Alexis mentioned, is, you know, incorporating it into what you're already doing every day. For example, walking into a kitchen and you need to start cooking. What is the first thing that you're going to do before you start that? Maybe you want to have more joy around it. So if it's music, then before you start cooking, you turn on the music. You know, you do something that'll change the way your mood is, or that you're working on something. Or after dinner, every day after dinner, I go for that walk. Yeah. Right, Alexis, I think you worked on that every day after dinner, you go for that walk and you hold yourself accountable to it, because you have a dog and you have to take him for a walk. So you're going to do that right after dinner. So that habit is already there, that you're going to have dinner every day. So that what you're going to do right after, go for a walk. So it's just incorporating around things that you're already doing so that it's a cue. Because then what starts to happen after you've done it 7 or 8 times, your body will naturally be like, oh, it's time to go for a walk. Your mind likes things to be predictable. Mm-hmm. You know, it likes schedule. I know for a lot of people, you don't want to schedule, but you always get up and you brush your teeth, right? I can't even go downstairs without brushing my teeth. I always get up. First thing I do is I brush my teeth, use the restroom, brush my teeth, right? So, I mean, I could incorporate. A lot of people, the doctors will say, keep your medication right next to your toothbrush so you remember to take it during that time. So that could be then. That could be at your evening time routine. That could be a daytime routine. So whatever it is, attach it to a habit that you're already doing and that you want to reinforce, and add it to that. So it's really great.
Yeah, it's called habit stacking. And it really does work. You did say something that triggered another little micro habit for me, is that if you're feeling disconnected, like you said, you connect with somebody, but maybe you want to expand, you know, intentionally and purposely expand your professional network. Maybe your lunchtime habit is every single day you message 2 people on LinkedIn, even if it's just a, hey, thanks so much, or I noticed we've been connected, but we actually haven't really connected. You know, I am, you know, Alexis, this is what I do. I'd love to find out more about you. every single day at your lunch break, Monday to Friday, you message 2 different people, right? Then those prompts, like when they respond, you don't have to worry because we've already developed the habit of being obsessed with our phones. Like they're never anywhere, they're never, that far away from us. You're going to hear the ping and you're going to naturally then automatically go and check that message and continue that conversation. What happens is when we feel disconnected, it's starting the communication is where we're having trouble, right? If someone texts you, you're like, oh, ping, here we go. And you immediately respond, right? But if you feel disconnected because you haven't been reaching out, you haven't been having those conversations, you haven't been, you haven't been the one initiating those conversations, then it becomes the longer that happens, the harder then it is to reach out. But now, right, you have a habit, and whether it's if it's not your professional network, every day at lunch you pick 2 different friends, right, and you message them. I started doing this early in quarantine. I reach out to my girlfriends every single, and whether it's just a nice, I mean, I don't have that many friends, I'm not that popular, but I may reach out to, let's say there's 10 people that I know in my like closer circle that I really want to stay in touch with. I may not message all 10 of them every single week, but I definitely message 5 of them. You know what I mean? And I'm just, hey, how's it going? Or if I see something that, I think about I see online, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I saw that post, blah, 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 blah. Or something, right? Because I just want to stay connected. And it's hard when we're not allowed to see people and we're not actually making the play dates and making the girls' nights and all those things. It's really easy for weeks to fly by and I've not messaged anybody, right? So I have a dedicated time in my calendar where I quickly send 5 texts. That leads to conversations throughout the week, right? But if I didn't do that and they got busy and I got busy, it could be weeks before we're talking. Okay, and then everything else is a bonus. Every other text that I just think about sending or they think about sending me is just, is a bonus. But we're staying connected to the people that matter to us, which make me feel supported in tough times.
All right, great. So we talked about if you're feeling, it's time to make a change if you're feeling confused or frustrated. And Alexis gave many tips. You want to list out all the tips? It was a lot. Many tips that you can do. What were the 3 things?
Mainly just figuring out, sitting down, getting real clarity on what action steps you can take and really finding at least one thing you can do immediately or in the very near future, right? And then consistently making those micro habits that we talked about, habit stacking, put them on something that you're already doing, right? Brushing your teeth, the cup of water is there, or your vitamins are there, or whatever it is, something you're already doing, and then stacking a new habit on top of that, and remembering that they don't have to be these huge, massive breakthroughs or these huge changes that seem scary, right? They can be tiny micro shifts or micro habits that we do consistently that wind up to really big, powerful changes in our life.
Yeah, try these changes and let us know. Comment below if you've tried any of these already, how it shifted your life. And if you haven't, which one are you going to take on over the next week? Really great. Thanks so much for joining us today on the Office Chats. We will catch you again next week, same time, 1:30 Eastern on Thursday. Bye.
Thank you.